Hey guys, how are you? My name is Dalton Wilson, and we're finally here. We're here to give the final presentation for our communications project. And if the technology will allow, I think I'm going to go ahead and jump right in my slideshow. And hopefully this is showing up on your screen. So you see here, I'm welcoming you to Papa John's, and that is going to be the basis of my presentation. So the first question to ask is why Papa John's? The first and most central reason is that I work there. I work for the Oni Bayshore franchise, and that's pretty much the Clearwater, Largo, and Tampa locations. There's 26 in total, and they're all owned and operated by Wade Oni. I'm a driver at the Clearwater location, and I've been with the store for 2.5 years. So I have a generally good idea of the way that operations work within the store, and I have management training, although I don't currently run shifts. So I feel like my insight is valuable because I've been there and I've been there through the droves of employees coming and going. I'm the most senior employee at the store, and this is the reason that I decided to go with my company, Papa John's, as an optimization effort. So, what opportunity do I believe exists at Papa John's, or at least within my franchise? I'm not sure about other franchises. I've never worked outside the franchise. Every employee is required eventually to learn how to do everything within the store that doesn't require a manager's password. And this is sold as an opportunity for maximum flexibility. In the current system, labor is what I deem here as suboptimal, although, of course, that's a relative term because labor can always be improved upon. It's never perfect, so I guess technically it's always suboptimal. But what I mean by that term is that we don't address our bottleneck in key positions when the shift is at its busiest. We all fill in because we're able to. We are able to do any job as best as we see fit, but there's no what I might deem order of operations. And the opportunity exists to better take advantage of the fact that we have this employee flexibility. Everybody can do every job, and that's a massive advantage. And I feel like the opportunity exists to better take advantage of that competitive advantage. So here quickly, I have a list in descending order of skill required, which is generally accepted as the descending order of skill required, of the jobs that you can do inside that don't require a manager's password. And these are dough slapper, which is what you see here in the picture, and that's kind of what you think of as the key position in a pizzeria, the guy who's throwing dough up in the air. Pizza topper, which is exactly what it sounds like, the person on the end of the line who's doing cheesing, but he also is checking the pizza for quality. Oven tender, which is the person who is on the other side of the oven, who is making sure that the pizzas get in the correct boxes and are getting cut. There's the till operator, who's taking money for orders of people inside the store. There's the order taker, which is again exactly what it sounds like, and the person who's folding boxes. Um, there are other jobs such as cleaning and things like that, but usually those jobs take place when we're not at our busiest, and that's the time that we're really paying attention to in this presentation is when the store is at their busiest, what we would characterize as our rush. So where does the problem come from? Obviously, it's not a massive problem because it's an advantage that we are so flexible, and lots of other pizza chains are not that way. But the problem comes that when employees get back to the store or when they're newer, they tend to settle in when things get hectic, especially newer employees. They settle into a position that they can do, and they kind of put their head down and trying to do the best that they can. Um, and I have here characterized that employees generally react in lieu of thinking because, like I mentioned earlier, we don't necessarily have an order of operations. So people are settling into a job and they're doing it to the best of their ability. But let's say, for sake of example, an employee that's been with our company for 3 months settles in on our make line. He's topping pizzas. And the reason he's doing that is because our manager, who has a much higher skill gap, a much higher skill level, is on the phone with an angry customer. Now, as soon as the manager hangs up the phone, he's turning around looking where can he help. So he's going to settle in on perhaps the oven. And now what we have is an employee who has far less skill in topping pizzas when he can only maybe do 2 or 3 pizzas a minute. And the manager who's working on an oven, which is much easier, could be making 5 or 6 pizzas. We don't have a system in place for the manager to calmly say to the employee on the line, hey, will you switch with me? Obviously, sometimes that doesn't happen, but not on a consistent basis. And we don't have a way to decide that if 2 employees are very close in skill gap, which one is going to be doing the more skill intensive position. So what does this mean in a practical sense? And I've kind of already illustrated this, and that's that skilled employees perform tasks that could be completed at the same level by a less experienced team member. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's why I'm showing this picture of an oven. Any employee that's been with our company for longer than a month can do this job. So people who have those higher skill gaps when we're at our busiest shouldn't be buried on a job that anybody can do because you're losing efficiency. And here is a quick comparison. If you could just read through them, it's a 3-month team member against a 2-year team member. Again, these are just approximations. But if you look down the line, it's clear that the difference in efficiency kind of dissipates as we get to less skilled positions. Like, say, the very bottom, folding boxes. That's a hand speed problem. It's not a muscle memory thing. Somebody can come in cold off the street and fold boxes almost as quickly as somebody who's been there at the store for 2 years because it's an inherent skill. It's very simple. The same thing is true for order taking. You can take a phone call and ask somebody what their credit card number is. That's pretty simple. And here's a graphical representation of what I'm talking about, the numbers that I had in the previous slide. And you can see the back level, the green level, are 2-year employees, the middle level is a 1-year employee, and the white level is a new employee. And you can see that as we go from left to right, the percentage difference in efficiency gets closer and closer as we get to less skill intensive positions. And this is just a graphical representation of what I'm talking about. So what does this tell us? And I like to call it a skill totem. So as we move down the skill totem, new employees become increasingly productive relative to experienced team members. And I think that language is incredibly important. That's what I'm talking about here, is that they become increasingly productive relative to the more experienced team members. They're not becoming more productive on the overall. It's just that they're able to do more with less on less experienced activities. So the opportunity is to make skill level more apparent, to make it something that we're more comfortable talking about, and something that isn't ego-based, but something that is an effort to make our jobs easier. And much of this opportunity exists due to the fact that Papa John's employees are already tested generally every month for the quality and speed of their pizzas. We test how quickly people can turn out pizza skins, the actual dough, or how quickly they sauce and how well they sauce pizzas, or how quickly they put toppings on the pizzas. All of that's tested, and we keep track of those numbers. We just don't post them in a way that is relevant to this discussion. And it would take very little effort, I feel, to take those numbers and to make them something that's helpful for this attempted optimization. And that's nice because there's not a huge cost incurred because we're already collecting this data. We're just not using it in this way. But also because it won't be a culture shock for people who have been working there for a while, because it's kind of the modus operandi already to try and optimize your skill levels and to talk about how you can be more skilled. I think people are already pretty comfortable with being critiqued, which is nice. So what are the keys to success? And I think this is the most important slide within my presentation. I think it's imperative that this system be viewed as a system of improvement that's supposed to be making our jobs easier and to raise efficiency. It's not a system to judge other people or to punish people. It's a system that's trying to make our lives easier. And I believe that every effort should be made during non-peak times to reverse roles so that employees feel like that feel like they're being stuck on menial jobs such as phones or the oven that aren't necessarily as fun or as uh, don't have as much glory, if you can even call it that. That when things aren't busy, the employees who are very experienced are on those jobs that are not necessarily as exciting, and the newer employees are getting the opportunity to build their skill level when the pressure isn't as high. So what are the risks and what are the benefits? Here I have them listed and you can take a look at them quickly, but I think the most important in this list is the bottom of the list for benefits and the top of the list for risks. Healthy competition against destructive competition. I think that that's an important determinant whether or not this would work within a store. Also on the risk side, I think that loss of morale is a real possibility if people aren't actively participating in this system by its true intent. Um, and I think that a real life benefit, the most likely benefit, other than improved efficiency, is that there would be less confusion because, as I've talked about, I think this is just setting an order of operations in a way where sometimes we're chaotic. We could kind of usher out some of that chaos. So the final recommendation, I think this is a good idea. I think that on a trial basis, perhaps for 1 quarter, so 3 months of the year, I think that it could be a really good opportunity to test it out. But I think that the important provision here is that all team members need to be briefed through a team meeting together on the reason for the change so that there's no confusion, so that everybody can be a part of the same vision, and that team members should be encouraged to be active participants in the change, not necessarily, this isn't a management initiative. It's an initiative to help make our lives a lot easier. So I say here, let's do it. Let's make this change. And here quickly is just references to all the images I took and then some of the statistics. That way I don't get in trouble. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take screen sharing off if it allows, and there I am. Anyhow, hopefully we got all that, and hopefully if any of you have questions, you feel comfortable asking me. I would be very happy to talk about this because it's something that's near and dear to my heart. Okay, guys, I look forward to seeing you guys' presentations and possibly working with you in upcoming mods. I had a lot of fun in this class, and I will see you. All right, bye.